Shalom.
Okay. Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our non-Messianic conversation night for the 14th of July, 2023. Uh, what we'll be dealing with is prophecy, current events, end times, and connecting some dots to some different topics. So I want to introduce everybody to Prophets of Awakening. You can go to our YouTube channel and check out our videos. A lot of information given. The videos connect dots for you and lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And for those that want to support the channel, you can look at our cash app at the bottom of the screen. Okay, this is a non-Messianic channel. And by that I mean we deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. The Tanakh is the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books, books of the law. And we don't subscribe to the New Testament. Okay, so shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening, and welcome to our non-Messianic conversation. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer. We're going to read the Psalms, do some current events, a little need to know information, open it up for some Q&A, then we go into the topic. Okay, so this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts, and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay. Oh Lord, we come before thee on the Sabbath day, bow down with great respect for our Redeemer. Lord, you confess through your prophet Isaiah that you would return unto us and that you would pour out your spirit upon us. And this you have done, O Lord, in great fashion. And because of this, we have found you within your holy scriptures. Great in counsel, mighty in works, for our eyes are open upon the ways of me to give everyone according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. O Lord, behold, thou hast made the heavens and the earth by thy great power, and thy stretched out arm. There is nothing too hard for thee. And knowing all these things, O Lord, we eagerly await thy coming, the day in which thou wilt break the yoke of our oppressors. Peace be unto you. Okay. I'm going to read the Psalms. Okay. Okay. I'm going to read Psalm 44. It's former deliverances and present troubles. Okay. It's a psalm of the chief musician Mescal. We have heard with our ears, O God, our fathers have told us what works thou did in their days, in times of old, how thou didst drive out the heathen with thy hand and planted them, how thou didst afflict the people and cast them out. But I got not the land in possession by their own sword, neither did their own arm save them, but thy right hand and thine arm and the light of thy countenance, because thou hast favor unto them. Thou art my king, O God. Command deliverance for Jacob. Through thee will we push down our enemies, and through Through thy name will we tread them under that rise up against us. For I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me. For thou hast saved us from our enemies, and hast put them to shame that hated us. In God we boast all the day long, and praise thy name forever, Selah. But thou hast cast off and put us to shame, and goeth not or forth with our armies. Thou makest us to turn back from our enemies, and they which hate us spoil for themselves. Thou hast given us like sheep appointed for meat, and hast scattered us among the heathen. Thou sellest thy people for naught, and doest not increase thy wealth by their price. Thou makest us a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and derision to them that are round about us. Thou makest us a byword among the heathen, a shaking of the head among the people. My confusion is continually before me, and the shame of my face have covered me. For the voice of him that reproacheth and blasphemes by reason of the enemy and the avenger. All this has come upon us, yet have we not forgotten thee, neither have we dealt falsely in thy covenant. Our heart is not turned back, neither have our steps declined from thy way. Thou, though thou hast sore broken us in the place of dragons, and covered us with the shadow of death, if we have forgotten the name of our God, or stretched out our hands to a strange God, shall not God search this out? For he knoweth the secrets of the heart. Yea, for thy sake are we killed all the day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Awake, why sleepest thou, O Lord? Arise, cast us cast us not off forever. Wherefore hidest thou thy face, and forgettest our affliction and our oppression? For our soul is bowed down to the dust, our bellies cleaveth unto the earth. Arise for our help, and redeem us for thy tender mercies. Okay, so that's Psalms 44, and it's former deliverances and present troubles. Okay, anybody have any comments on that? We can relate that to the curses. If you look at it and look at the curses, uh, you can relate it to the curses. It's the same things in here as you can see that they in the curses. But the verse I wanted to shine light on was verse 1. We have heard with our ears, O God, our fathers have told us what works thou did in their days, in times of old. Right? So if you go to Micah, you can see where they trick the scriptures off. Get it, Micah. Micah, I think it's chapter 2. Let me see, chapter 5. Chapter 5, starting at verse 1. Verse 1 and 2. It says, Now gather thyself in truth, O daughter of truth. He have laid siege against us. They shall smite the judge of Israel with a rod upon his cheek. So they trying to make you think it's JC. Smack him on the cheek. Then verse 2. But thou, Bethlehem, Euphrates. So this is why they put JC in Bethlehem right here. But we know David is from Bethlehem. Jesse is from David's father was from Bethlehem. So it says in verse 2, But thou, Bethlehem, Euphrates, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth. So they say in this JC, he shall come forth unto me that shall be ruling Israel, whose going forth has been from old. That's it. It stops at old. So when it says who's going forth has been from old, that's David. But they added the everlasting to it. So to make it sound like it's JC. But it's now gather thyself in truth, O daughter of truth. He have laid siege against us. They shall smite the judge of Israel with a rod upon the cheek. But thou, O Bethlehem Euphrates, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me. It's Lord of hosts talking. That shall be ruler in Israel, who's going forth have been from old. It's David. And so you can go to another verse and see where they play with scriptures. Is in let me see. I think it's okay. I think it's Zephaniah. Let me see. Hosea. I think it says. Let me see. Hosea. Let me look right quick to see if that's it. Yeah. Let me get it. Yeah, it's in Amos chapter 11, chapter 9, verse 11. It says, in that day will I raise up, this is how we know it's David right here. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins and I will build it as in the days of old. That's how we know it's David. Because they try to make you think it's JC, but he says right here, just like Micah chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David, not JC. JC ain't have no tabernacle. I will raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. It has nothing to do with JC. Okay? So with that being said, any comments? Okay, so with that being said, we go to the current event.
Hi everyone, Dr. Cindy Oldand, internal medicine physician. Welcome to another video. Within the last few days, we've had a series of dramatic headlines across the mainstream media, especially in the United Kingdom, regarding a deadly virus which is potentially making its way to the shores of the United Kingdom and the United States. This story took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting it. It's a very rare condition. Let me share the story with you here. So here's the article in the Daily Express in the United Kingdom. The first article I want to share with you. Urgent warning over deadly virus spreading across Europe, biggest threat to public health. New cases of the infection have started to slowly move across different continents, with the disease confirmed in Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. That seems like a very dramatic headline. What's this story all about? An urgent health warning has been issued after a deadly disease has spread across Europe in what has been described as the biggest threat to public health. Called Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever, CCHF, the disease has recently broken out in Iraq and Namibia. Meanwhile, there have been some deaths reported in Pakistan, and scientists have warned that it was highly likely the disease could soon reach Britain, according to insiders speaking to Parliament's Science, Innovation and Technology Committee last week. During the hearing, a representative of Cambridge University said that CCHF may travel to British shores through our ticks at some point. So that's interesting, through ticks. So the same way that diseases like Lyme disease, babesiosis, ehrlichiosis are spread. Let's learn more about the disease. Well, according to the article, the disease is norovirus, a condition which is spread by ticks, and according to the World Health Organization, one that has a grim fatality rate between 10 to 40%. So that's norovirus, not to be confused with norovirus. And that mortality rate, 10 to 40%, is massive. For some perspective, let's compare that to the pandemic virus over the last few years, which is believed to have had a mortality rate well under 1%. Typically, this condition, CCHF, is found at small stages in Africa, the Balkans, the Middle East, and in Asia. So far, no recorded outbreaks in the US have been reported, but in a worry for scientists, the disease could be expanding out of its usual territories and moving towards the likes of Britain and France due to climate change. So the authorities are blaming climate change for this spreading disease. But let's learn more about the actual symptoms. The World Health Organization notes that CCHF is among the 9 priority diseases it ranks, a system that lays bare the biggest public health risks. Among the virus's symptoms include headaches, high fever, back and joint pain, stomach ache and vomiting. In severe cases, jaundice, mood swings, and sensory perception are encountered. And then they talk about some statistics here with some high numbers reported in Iraq. 100 additional cases and 13 deaths were so far in 2023 attributed to the toll in Iraq. So this story wasn't just reported in the Daily Express, it was reported across other news outlets as well. Take a look at this. Here we have a headline in the Daily Mirror: symptoms of killer virus spreading across Europe and it's highly likely to reach the UK. Here's another one from a European news outlet: climate change is helping this new deadly virus to spread across Europe. So I always find it interesting when you get a story like this that is published across news sites at the same time. Here we have a situation where the authorities seem to have already drawn the conclusion that it is climate change that is driving this particular illness to spread. That's the conclusion. There doesn't seem to have been any intense debate about it. That's what they are saying. And the articles seem to be as much about climate change as they are about this disease itself. But in the interest of all honesty, this is a very rare disease that I had barely heard of before. So let's learn more about the disease. Now, I know that what the WHO, World Health Organization, says can often be quite controversial, and you wonder how much politics drives a lot of what they say. But let's take a look anyway at the World Health Organization website, what they say about this illness. So here we have their section on Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever. As the article said, actually, it's a viral hemorrhagic fever usually transmitted by ticks. It can also be contracted through contact with viremic animal tissue where the virus has entered the bloodstream during and immediately post-slaughter of animals. CCHF outbreaks constitute a threat to public health services as the virus can lead to epidemics, has a high case fatality rate, there you go again, 10 to 40%, potentially results in hospital and health facility outbreaks, and is difficult to prevent and treat. It's endemic in all of Africa, the Balkans, the Middle East, and in Asia. So very similar to what the initial article said there. They probably got a lot of their information from this website. And here they do talk about the symptoms again: fever, muscle ache, dizziness, neck pain, backache, headache, sore eyes, and photophobia, that's sensitivity to light. They also add some GI symptoms, followed by potentially mental status changes, including sharp mood swings and confusion. And they've listed a few other clinical signs here, including a fast heart rate, swollen lymph nodes, and a rash. There is usually evidence of hepatitis, that's liver inflammation, and severely ill patients may experience rapid kidney deterioration, sudden liver failure, or pulmonary failure after the 5th day of illness. And treatment, like with a lot of viruses, is mainly supportive. And they've said here the antiviral drug ribavirin has been used to treat CCHF infection with apparent benefit. Both oral and intravenous formulations seem to be effective. And there are no jabs widely available for human or animal use. That's right now anyway. So that is quite a dramatic story about this particular illness spreading to the shores of Western Europe and potentially the United States. So let's see what happens. I remember this time last year, monkeypox was the thing in the news. Remember that? There were so many articles about it. The news was really heavily focused on that. A lot of people, their radar is up after what's happened over the last 3 years to any new potential infections spreading. But let's see what happens with CCHF over time. Is this going to become a thing? Is it going to fizzle out? Only time will tell. But certainly, the mainstream media seems to be very concerned. Let me know your thoughts down below.
Okay, anybody heard of that? Okay, any comments on that? Okay. Yeah.
Welcome to Asian Quick Take. I'm Jacob. Get ready for an in-depth analysis of the latest news and developments in global affairs, international relations, and technology. On July 10th, U.S. Treasury Secretary Yellen said in an interview on the CBS program that the current U.S. employment growth rate has fallen to its lowest level in 2.5 years, which could mean a slowdown in job growth in the labor market, and even the possibility of a recession. However, she also noted that slower economic growth is normal in a high interest rate environment. A recently released report completed by two senior economists at the Federal Reserve, Ander Perezoriv and Yannick Timmer, warned that the Fed's continued interest rate hikes have triggered a banking crisis. However, attempts by the Fed and the U.S. Treasury to cover up the problem and keep it out of the headlines through bailout programs have not solved the problem. Currently, the U.S. banking crisis and debt crisis is not really over, especially the institutional bond market is facing difficulties. The report also specifically warns that high interest rates could lead to a looming disaster in the U.S. financial and bond markets, and that many struggling U.S. companies could be at risk of collapse. According to their analysis, more than 37% of non-financial U.S. companies are already in financial distress, meaning that these debts are near default levels, the highest since the 1970s. Hedge funds pushed their short positions in U.S. 10-year treasuries to the highest level since July 2019. In the week ending July 9th, data released by the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission showed the net outflow of funds from the U.S. bond market over the past 4 weeks has been an even bigger $35.6 billion. The global investor sell-off of U.S. debt is likely to intensify further, and global central banks are also moving away from or reducing their purchases of U.S. debt. According to the U.S. Treasury Department, as of July 6th, global central banks sold $89.91 billion of U.S. treasuries. According to the International Capital Flows Report released on June 16th, global central bank holdings of U.S. treasuries totaled $7.58 trillion as of early May, down from $7.66 trillion a year earlier. However, from 2008 to the present, the total amount of U.S. debt held by global central banks has not grown in proportion to the size of the several rounds of quantitative easing conducted by the United States. Dollars are also promoting oil trading and the de-dollarization of international reserve assets. The global rule of no dollar, no oil in oil trading has been broken. The trend towards global digital currencies, combined with the natural monetary properties of gold, could support the emergence of a new global digital currency order alongside the dollar. This could be an important turning point for the petrodollar system, which is clearly a strategic de-dollarization move. Against this backdrop, when asked whether countries such as China, Russia, Brazil, and India plan to create new currencies, U.S. Treasury Secretary Yellen said that the dollar will remain dominant in international transactions for the foreseeable future, and that there is no alternative currency that can replace it. She emphasized that the U.S. and its allies will take countermeasures against these actions by countries like China. For a long time, the U.S. financial system has been suffering from structural problems that have not been fundamentally resolved. Continued interest rate hikes could lead to higher interest rates, negatively impacting corporate and individual indebtedness, which could lead to a financial crisis and recession. The global trend of central banks selling U.S. debt and shifting to non-U.S. dollar assets such as gold also reflects the shaky global trust in the U.S. dollar. As creditors of the U.S., China, and other countries have accelerated their selling of U.S. debt and increased their gold holdings, signaling that they are striving to reduce their reliance on the U.S. dollar and put.
Okay, any comments on that? Okay, I got some need to know information right here. I think it's pretty interesting because of where we at. Let me play it. then we go from there. So Jill Scott, she sung that national anthem, her own version of the national anthem, and everybody gone haywire.
Thank you so much, everybody, for allowing me to tell my stories and read poetry and act in your movies and your TV shows and stuff. It's been a really blessed life, and I just want to say thank you so much for your encouragement and your support. It means a lot. You don't have to do it, but you do. And that's what's up. I wrote this when I was 19 years old. Ready? I'm 51 now, by the way. Oh, say, can you see by the blood in the street that this place doesn't survive? Only you could shine. Whose blood built this land with sweat and their hands. But your blood is brave, and your memory. Oh, say, does this prove? Oh, this is not the land of the free, but the home of the slave.
Okay. Anybody heard that on YouTube? Any comments? Yeah, we got all kind of.
That's a great rendition.
Okay. Anybody heard about that? Anybody seen it? Know anything about it?
Yeah, I heard it. I heard it. Yeah, it's a great rendition of the Allegiance or whatever that song is for America, whatever it's called. But yeah, that was a great rendition. It's about time somebody did something like that. These artists.
Yeah, they say them white folks in an uproar about it.
Good.
Oh yeah. Play this right here.
Did she say, oh, say, can you see by the blood in the streets? See, the problem is this. So many of our people have gotten comfortable and blinded at the same time that they can't see. They believe that they are in the land of the free. She said, this is not the land of the free. She literally blew the lid off of ignorance, because the problem is, too, you have a lot of celebrities who ignore these types of things. But when you have someone with a famous face singing the reality of what Black people experience in this country, she blows the lid off of ignorance. Anyone who follows after the career and the music of Jill Scott, you can't say now that you don't know. When it comes from average people, sometimes our people don't hear. But if they see a person that has a famous personality, then all of a sudden they say, oh man, did you hear what Jill Scott said? Oh man, did you hear what Lauryn Hill said? Oh man, did you hear what this one said or that one said? Then it becomes a big deal when you hear a famous face talking about it. Isn't that something? Well, thanks to Jill Scott for helping to blow the lid off of ignorance, because there have been those before her, and there are those who are constantly crying aloud and sparing not, and lifting up our voices like trumpets in Zion, and trying to show our people what is going on. If you think that you are free in this country and in this world, you are out of your mind. This is why the Bible says that my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. You can't be destroyed for what you don't know. That goes completely against the earthly cliche that says what you don't know can't hurt you.
Okay, yeah. So Jill Scott got this new thing going called Neo Ratchet. So that was actually sung at a concert she was giving. That's one of the songs. She sung a bunch of other songs, but she got this thing called Neo Ratchet. You know what I'm saying? You want to check it out. In the comments. Okay, I'm gonna open it up for some Q&A. Anybody got any questions or comments about something they want to talk about? Something was brought up on Prophets of Awakening. You want to talk about it? Okay, so let me play this right here. I was telling you about this guy. Listen, the BRICS got them appointed from South Africa. He's doing all the setting up for this new BRICS conference, and you know, they ain't liking it. White folks ain't liking it. So let me play it. Like I said, keep your eyes on it.
African leaders go to international conferences, they end with asking for stuff, you know. And so it's almost been perceived that anytime an African leader speaks, they're going to borrow or they're going to beg. And because of the challenges that Africa has gone through from colonization.
There's so much stuff happening so fast. This can't last too much longer.
Building back up. Africa has had to rely on the Western world for aid to be able to fund basic services in the country, in the various countries, like healthcare, education, infrastructure. But that is changing. That is changing because the continent is growing and we're getting educated and we're building our infrastructure and we're utilizing our own resources. And the South African president is saying, times are changing. We are not beggars anymore. We will not beg for anything. If we come on the table, we are coming as peers. You better hold up your end of the bargain.
That even as we were going to address an issue of the war, which has had a negative impact on the African continent, which is the rise in prices for food, rise in prices for fertilizers, we were clear that we are not going there as beggars. We're not going to ask for a favor to both Ukraine and Russia. We were going there to say, open up the Black Sea Channel so that the grains and the fertilizers should go into the world market. So we were not on a begging mission, even as we are in great need as a continent and all that. That should go to demonstrate that Africa should never be seen as a continent that needs generosity. We want to be treated as equals.
Hello guys, how are you doing? Welcome to another episode of our conversations. My name is Indira Ganga. I am a business journalist by profession and a digital content creator. I love coming out here and having conversations with you guys about beg, because that is what they've been doomed to do. And Cyril Ramaphosa is saying, nah, not anymore. We're not going to beg you.
I think there is consensus that is clearly embraced by everyone that we need to address climate and poverty because they go together. There's a nexus. And as it were, we need to burn the candle on both sides. So that's important. So that's agreed. And we all recognize and accept that we need capital at scale to address the key challenges that many countries in the world face, particularly the developing economy countries. And we also would be agreed that there needs to be more cooperation and coordination between your development banks, multilateral development banks, and the private sector. There needs to be coordination so that there is no fragmentation, which you kept talking about. But I think what is important to many of us is that there should be solid consensus on the reform of the financial architecture of the world. Because without that reform, the dreams and the objectives that we have to address our challenges will not be realized. And those reforms need to touch on a whole range of issues. Mr. Mo Ibrahim yesterday even spoke about something that we may think is insignificant, that the boards of directors of your multilateral institutions are not made up of independent directors. They are largely internal people or shareholders. So that in itself, for us, is an important reform. We also need to look at the distribution of the special drawing rights. I find it a bit difficult to be told that this is set in the rules and it will forever be like that, and that it's either you get 0 or you get 34 billion. In our view, this is not a zero-sum game. It's a game where we all need to be dealt with equity in an equitable manner. And there is a need for reform in that regard as well. And the other important thing for this to happen, it will help us not to participate as unequal cousins in these institutions. It will help us to participate fully, and so that we don't have a sense that we are beggars, that we are being dealt with out of generosity. I think it's important in the new era that the world is in now that there should be.
Okay, so we see right here, man, you gotta actually lay your eyes on a video to get the impact from it. It's South Africa's president tells the West that Africa doesn't want anything for free. So when you watch it, you look at it and you see tension in the room, because here goes this black dude come out of nowhere. You got Putin and the Chinese president behind him. They ain't even there, but they know, he in charge, giving all these orders, and everybody you can just see the tension in the room. They're uneasy, and so like I was saying, this thing is moving so fast. If you ain't start packing your bags or getting yourself prepared for whatever's gonna go down, because it's gonna happen overnight. It's moving so fast. Yeah, like 100 miles an hour. Okay. So yeah, so what I was gonna do is play a couple of videos for my topic of discussion, cut on a few topics, and then I'm gonna close out. So one of them is that just like this right here, we got another black man, an African guy, and he came up and stood up. This happened the other day. Let me play the video. This ain't a sign right here. I don't know what the sign is. Okay.
Museveni has came out and made a call
Uganda
to the
president.
diaspora. And I want you to hear what President Museveni has to say. Let's go ahead and roll that.
In humility and brokenness, to repent for the sins of the leaders in Africa, and in particular, the sin of selling our own brothers and sisters into slavery. This great sin brought untold pain and misery to millions of people of African descent, and judgment to the African people who remained on the continent. The grave sin of slavery scattered our people all over the face of the earth, where they have suffered great deprivations and loss. If it were not for the part that our African kings and chiefs played in the slave trade, this evil trade could not have survived. Therefore, on behalf of all the African leaders, past and present, all of them, I acknowledge the part that we played in this tragedy, and today we ask for forgiveness. We seek forgiveness for the great pain and loss that the myopic and selfish decisions of our leaders caused our brothers and sisters of African descent around the world, and we ask their forgiveness. We plead the blood of Jesus to cleanse us all from this great sin and release us from the spiritual, mental, emotional, and economic bondage it brought. Today, we open the door to our brothers and sisters of African descent to return home to the continent of Africa, the land of their ancestry, and the spiritual homeland of all African people. We welcome you home with open arms as brothers and sisters, and pray that we can close the door to the dark past and work towards a better future. In Jesus' mighty name, we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
We're starting to see more and more African leaders talk about the past and their role. Even President Museveni had, admitted about the role that Africans played in that. But he's saying that, look, it's time to come on back to the African continent if you so choose to. Now, if you want to stay in the Western world, no one is forcing you. I don't need to see 1,000 continents talking about, I ain't going nowhere. Nobody asked you to go nowhere. Stay behind at your house and be married. Mm-hmm. But some people maybe need to hear that. Now, Uganda wasn't one of the trading places, but hey, he said, look, we need to have the brothers and sisters that want to come back, come on back. And Uganda is trying to do, great things. Uganda is standing up to the West, on what they're doing. You have Kenya. President Ruto recently said that people of African descent should have to be paying for a visa, so that now they are fixing that, where you can go in and not pay for visas if you are of African descent. That is a beautiful thing. To me, that means that you're serious about people wanting to come back home, because whether you agree with it or not, if you don't think that the African continent is a place for you or the original place of our ancestors, then, hey, you don't have to agree with that. But for me, I view that as a place of my ancestors. I will say from my experience, the first time I got on the African soil, I felt connected to the land. Here, I don't feel connected to the land like that. I don't feel a spiritual connection. To me, this is like a battleground. Yes, I live here, but it's a constant fight. It doesn't seem peaceful, especially as a black person. Black people can't go to the freaking grocery store without worrying about a freaking Karen or being accused of stealing or whatever. Because you don't have to be the police messing with you. A Karen messing with you is a fight for you. or them accusing you of stealing is a fight. Or following you in the store, criminalizing you, that's a fight. That gets old. I've never been criminalized in the African continent. I've never had nobody harass me. I never had the police just follow me in the store and stop me and tell me, oh, you stole something. No. On the contrary, I have been so much at peace. So, but for, like I say, President Ruto, and then you talk about President Museveni is making this call. Hey, but this is what I will say. And I will say this. We want the people that want to be there and the people that's going to act right and act decent. We don't need the twerkers going. We don't need nobody scamming going. Stay over here in America with that mess. Please. Because I just can't stand when the wrong folks show up, unfortunately. But, shout out to President Museveni for, what he was saying and what he was reading.
Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody seen that?
No, I didn't see that one. I don't know. I know the one that got me was the one with Kenya. Kenya saying that, it's interesting what's going on right now. Kenya's saying the visas are free, right? But I think South Africa is saying if you plan on staying more than a month, then it's a $10,000 visa.
Okay.
So one thing's for sure, two things for certain. The Most High, Lord of Hosts is stirring up something with these people, because 15 odd years ago, I had that same question. I said, if when I was on my Garvey shit, it was like there's like 50 nations in Africa that are attached to the UN. Why weren't they calling for us 20 years ago, 30 years ago? But now they're all saying, they're making apologies and they're saying, yo, y'all free to come here and stuff. So I know that something is definitely brewing. Something is.
Right. So it reminds me, I'm going to read this
What I mean?
Right. So I'm going to read Isaiah chapter 16, maybe the first 8 verses. It says, you can see this. It says, arise and shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and the kings to the brightness of thy rising. Lift up thine eyes round about and see, all they that gather themselves, they come to thee. Thy son shall come from afar, and thy daughter shall be nursed upon thy side. Then shall thou see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. The multitude of camels shall come cover thee. The drummer of Midian and Ephah, all they from Sheba shall come. They shall bring gold and incense, and they shall show forth praises of the Lord. All the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered unto thee. The rounds of Nebo shall minister unto thee, and they shall come up with acceptance on mine altar, and I will glorify the house of my glory. Who are these that fly as clouds, as a dove to their windows? Surely the owls shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarsus first, to bring thy sons from afar, thy God, to the Holy One of Israel, because he hath glorified thee. It seems like it shines light on it for me. I don't know about nobody else. Everything moving so fast, right? Okay, so that was
it's a multi. Yeah, I'm saying it's a multi-front that's taking place. So whether it's dealing with the Gentiles or even them calling people back from out of Africa, the heathen or whatever they are, it's still it's kind of like reading in Ezra's 1 then, when Cyrus said a decree went out. So it's kind of, that's what I'm saying. Like, so what's going on now that we're seeing that 30 years ago, all these African nations out of the 68 or 67 countries in Africa, 50, I think 58 or 55 of them are part of the United Nations. That was never a conversation, you know. But right now it is the conversation right now, you know.
Exactly. Right, like you said, you arise and shine from us. He says his spirit is just seen upon these. We can see the Most High as a higher power behind all this stuff that's happening, because it's just starting to happen out of the blue from nowhere. It have no reason to be happening when you understand who we're dealing with. But all of a sudden now we see it happening. It's like these two guys right here that's talking. Hey, them Africans. You know, put the guy that's over in South Africa. They're Africans. They ain't,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? They ain't
Yeah.
Israelites.
This is big.
So this is what our enemies, this they counter. Just like we seeing this, they seeing it. But this they counter to it right here. Just like the Pharaoh.
Recently, a bill was introduced by
Check it out.
Representative Brian Babin that essentially would block all federal funding going to states participating in issuing reparations programs for the descendants of American slavery.
So any state, they trying to pass this bill, these rednecks, anybody that's bringing anything up about reparations in that state can't receive no federal bailouts or nothing. And there's
So what I'd like
that's
to do
worse
is
than the
take a
Pharaoh.
moment to read a little bit of what's in this bill, and then we'll get back into the discussion. A Texas GOP House member introduced a bill to block federal bailouts for states or municipalities that implement reparations programs. Texas Republican Representative Brian Babin introduced the No Bailouts for Reparations Act last week, which would prohibit federal bailouts or financial assistance from going to states or municipalities operating programs giving reparations for slavery. American taxpayers shouldn't be forced to pay for radical race-based reparation payments to please the woke left, Babin told Fox News Digital. My bill ensures that government entities enacting reparation laws based on race, ethnicity, national origin, or slavery cannot receive federal bailouts, the Texas Republican continued. According to Babin's bill, the U.S. government, including the Federal Reserve System and independent agencies, may not provide any loan, grant, or other form of financial assistance to the government of any state or political subdivision thereof, or any agencies or instrumentally of such a state or political subdivision that enacts into law any programs providing reparations on the basis of slavery or race, ethnicity, national origin, or historical practices related thereto. The bill also shall only apply to the unit of government so enacting a reparations program.
Hey, I'm Ricky Carmichael, and I've joined the Quad Lock team as an ambassador of the brand. So you have your case, your phone.
So let's look at that. Okay. 1 minute.
People are starting to speak about this bill now that was introduced. And mind you, it has not come to the House floor for a vote in the House of Representatives, let alone has it been brought up for a vote in the Senate. It's simply a bill that was introduced, nothing more, nothing less. There are a multitude of bills that are introduced regularly, the majority of which never make it to the House floor for a vote. And most likely, this will be another one of those bills. And let me be honest with you, as a content creator and as someone who is in media, by and large, bills that are, quote, introduced mean absolutely nothing. When a bill is introduced, the only time you see it make headlines in a YouTube video and or mainstream media outlets is simply for clicks, views, and high ratings. That's really it, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. If a bill has not passed either the House or Senate, then there's really nothing to talk about. Bills get, quote, introduced regularly, the overwhelming majority of which never get turned into law. Now, here's the main reason that I wanted to bring this to your attention. People are starting to talk about this. It's making its rounds on social media and on YouTube. And many people are taking this as an opportunity to fearmonger Black Americans into voting Democrat because of the evil boogeyman Republican who want to put you back in chains. But the reality is that when it comes to reparations, Neither the Republican Party nor the Democratic Party are actually interested in doing that. The only difference between the two parties is that the Democrats will at least pretend to entertain us when speaking on reparations. But the proof is in the pudding when it comes to their lack of seriousness. Now, many of us are aware of the H.R. 40 reparations bill, which is not a bill that delivers reparations, but it's simply a bill to put together a commission to study reparations. That's it, to study. This is a bill that was created by John Conyers in 1989. And as you can see on your screen right now, from 1989 to the present day, this bill has never even made it to the House floor for a vote. This is despite the fact that the 116th Congress and 117th Congress were Democratic controlled. As you can see in the 116th Congress section on January 3rd of 2019, H.R. 40 had 173 sponsors, yet the bill died in committee, never making it to the House floor for a vote. On January 4th, 2021, the H.R. 40 bill had even more co-sponsors, 196. That's up from 173 sponsors. H.R. 40 had 196 co-sponsors, and it was simply referred to committee of jurisdiction, but it was never actually brought up to the House floor for a vote. Both the 116th Congress and 117th Congress, as it pertains to the House of Representatives, were both Democratic controlled. But you know what the Democrats did do in that same time period? They couldn't find the time to simply pass a bill that would study reparations, but they did find the time to pass a bill in the House of Representatives called the Federal Crown Act. And for those of you who don't know what this bill is, it's a hair discrimination bill. Yes, you heard me correctly. A hair discrimination bill. The Democrats would not pass H.R. 40, a bill to simply study reparations. They couldn't find the time for that. They didn't find that important enough. But what they did find the time for was to pass a bill on hair discrimination. As you can see here, it reads under Federal Crown Act on September 21st, 2020, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the Crown Act of 2020, which failed to pass the Senate. The bill was then reintroduced on March 22nd, 2021 in the House and Senate simultaneously as the Crown Act of 2021 and was passed by the House on March 18th of 2022, but it was not passed in the Senate. Now, once again, I hate to beat a dead horse, but these Democrats that apparently love Black folks so much, they want to look out for you, they want to close the racial wealth gap, they want to right the wrongs of the past. They couldn't find time to pass a wildly flawed bill known as H.R. 40, Commission to Study and Develop Reparation Proposals for African Americans Act. No, they couldn't find time to do that, but they did find time to pass a hair discrimination bill. What's my point? My point is to relay the message to you all to please do not let Vote Blue No Matter Whoers throw this bill in your face that was introduced by Representative Brian Bannon as some way to fearmonger you into just simply voting blue no matter who, just so you can get nothing in return for your vote, as you've been getting since 1964. The Democrats thrive on the fact that Black Americans, out of fear, just simply vote Democrat religiously, unlike any other group in this country, despite the fact that they never give you anything in return for your vote. Henceforth, the reason why the racial wealth gap continues to grow ever wider. The fear mongering has to stop. The day has to come when Black Americans can no longer be persuaded by way of fear of the boogeyman Republicans.
Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody got any comments? Yeah, this my thing is this. I mean, how were you able to pass the 400-year thing? If these people, they so hell bent, they're passing out laws like this, or they're trying to introduce laws like this that's saying no reparations. Then how did the 400-year thing come about? It's the same thing with JC. JC a forest. So I mean, how was you still dealing with him? And then how are you dealing with this, right? How you bring up the point that we the people of the book, by the bill they passed 400 years. Ain't that something? There was a dead cat on the line somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
No, the thing I'm putting out is what he's talking about is that Crown Act. So for the last how many, like Leonard said, for the last how many 100 years, they created a race of people, us, to be visual creatures and aesthetic creatures. So they could pass that thing and just so it's like they say, why we can't just accept an apology,
Right.
and take a couple creature comforts, and keep and move on with our lives.
Right.
I think I'm breaking up, but it's amazing how they could manage to give Israel $3.8 billion a year, whether it's 1 point something from America and 2 point something from Germany. They figured that out,
Right.
because it's strategically
Exactly.
awesome for them. But it's like you said, if you go back to the first chapter of Exodus, there's a reason why they scared of this people aligning themselves with America's enemies. That's the main thing.
Right.
They know if they
Right.
give us reparations, we aligning ourselves not with these, these Proud Boys and this government.
Exactly. And then so this supposed to be a Christian nation, right? They so hell bent on that, So the so-called Jew don't believe in Jesus, but you send all that money to them, and they flat out. Everybody know they don't believe in JC. They say the Messiah ain't came yet. So you a Christian nation, but you sending over there building these people up, sending them all the money every year, but they don't believe in JC. Like I said, it's a dead cat on the line. Like I said, you got a problem with you don't even want to you can't even pass a bill that's proposing to look into reparations. You can't pass that, but you can pass a bill that's saying that it's us that's been over for 400 years. That's in the scriptures, supposedly in the scriptures, that identifying that we the people. But you constantly sending all this money to the people over there that don't even believe in you, your God, JC. God is supposed to build this country up.
Right.
Crazy,
Right.
man.
3.8 billion, y'all. 3.8 billion. Not one time. Every year is what
Every year.
Israel receives. Every year.
They can't lose. Can't lose. They got that kind of money coming in every year. Ain't there something? Yeah. So anybody else have any comments on that?
Shalom. Yes, I feel that what they're doing, like they're doing in America, as far as the school system, as they work from the first grade to 12th grade to college, if they can instill in the children that has now become adults that they cannot do anything about anything, just follow the rules of the government and you will be fine, and don't question, don't think outside the box, and everything will be fine. So that's the American dream. Don't worry about what's going over in the other parts of this world, even though they're supporting Ukraine, supporting just this all the other countries. And again, we have homeless people here. We have so many mental people that needs help. Again, just be fine. The government is controlling everything. If you don't think outside the box, if you don't speak up, if you don't elect the officials that needs to be in order, and that's from the bottom to the top, not from the top to the bottom. And if they continue to brainwash these people and continue to let Esau rule, then that's what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's how that whole thing is broken down, especially through these HBCUs, the whole Divine Nine, the Boule. You know what I'm saying? That's what you was bringing out. You know what I'm saying? So the gatekeepers were always put up in front of us to be desensitized to the plight of our situation and to go along with the understanding of the American dream. So if I take away
Right.
your ability to understand what you come from and what you're supposed to be, you know, putting your your blood, sweat, and tears into, nah, I'm gonna switch it and how you following your own people and having you believe that whatever they're thinking is right for you, then you're following, you know, and that's what's been going on with us for the longest.
Right.
Sure.
Exactly.
And another thing I would like to say, and this will be, I don't think it'll be it, but I'd like to say this. That word woke has, they're trying to change it to be feared, that you won't be saying it. Woke to me is become knowledge of. So when you wake up, your knowledge of the fact that you are alive, that's knowledge, that's reality. So now they're saying woke, it's a bad thing. Woke, they're trying to make it seem like um, aggression. Someone's being really, what we can say, trying to get the word, like they were saying about the Black Panthers. They
Militant.
Yes, sir. So that word now, it has, I think, as in the social media, has come down some. Now, you don't hear it as much, and no one's representing it. It's quieting down. The word woke is about to disappear if no one
Hmm.
continues about it.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
they want it to eventually because they know what it's gonna lead to. I think the main problem is that a lot of us that say we Israelite, we still operating off of the Gentile mentality. Me personally, I'm like, what's wrong with aggression? I don't,
Right. Exactly.
there's the need for it. They've showed us what aggression is for the last, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 years. They stay warring with other nations. So
Right.
what's wrong with our aggression for what we know we deserve as being so-called descendants of slaves here? So, but
Right.
they want to pacify us and give us their understanding of how things are supposed to work, you know, not realizing that we a whole other culture in here, and that's why it never works for us. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Look at January 6th. You had
Yeah,
something
it
to
don't
say?
even work for them.
Right.
Yeah. So what they put in place don't even work for their own kind. So
Right.
yeah.
And then another thing about that is that they use that word woke. It's a white man inside joke. And they say it. It's an inside joke among them. They're not respecting that word like we do. Like the Israelite, the awakened Israelite is an inside joke for them.
Right, it's an inside joke, and most likely when they mention us, they gotta put black in front of it.
Right, right,
You
right,
know,
right. And then
to,
they give you then
Black
spell
Israel.
it your way
Right,
too. You
right. So the
WOK.
whole work is like, yeah,
No,
it's like what that sister homegirl, the weird chick, Erica Badu brought out. She was like, when she hear the word woke now, she think for them it's just a sly way of now saying, nigga. You know what I'm saying? So
right,
that's the new way
right,
now.
right. That's what, yeah, it's true. Yeah, inside joke. Smart nigga. Uh-huh. I'm gonna play this right here and then we're gonna find our way out of here. Okay. The African Israelite. It's dealing with the giants, because I want to shine a light on this, like I said, on that, on the heart of their heart and all that.
Justice Foundation is not your usual legal practice. You see, we focus primarily on cases involving injustice against African Israelite groups or injustice against individuals because he or she identifies as an African Israelite or an Israelite of African descent. In other words, we are not a general legal practice. Instead, we specialize on African Israelite cases. And also, family, please keep in mind, we are a brand new organization, not affiliated with any existing organizations. However, it is our hope to establish connections with all African Israelite groups and people here in the States and around the world. Family, we need to hear your stories of injustice so that we can begin to record, investigate, and identify the enemies of Israel hiding behind the veil, and then ultimately hold them accountable in a court of law. And as stated before, we are a brand new organization with limited funds. And we are in the process of expanding our resources to further enhance our legal team, who will litigate our cases. And if you would like to join this historic cause, please share this message all over social media. Spread this message of IsraeliteJustice.org worldwide. And get this message from Kyrie to Kanye, from Whoopi Goldberg to Nick Cannon. And also share your stories of injustice or donate to the cause. And if you so choose to, you can remain anonymous and let us do all the work. After all, that's what the Israelite Justice Foundation is here for. We are here to fight for your right to be Israel. As always, thank you in advance. We appreciate you and love you, Israel. Take care, family. Shalom. And thus Eve and Adam both ate the forbidden fruit. And they heard the voice of Yahuwah walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahuwah amongst the trees of the garden. And Yahuwah called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? And Adam heard Yahuwah's voice in the garden and hid himself, telling Yahuwah he was naked and afraid. Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree whereof I commanded you that you should not eat? Therefore, Yahuwah sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he drove out man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims, and a flaming sword was turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. And thus, separated from Yahuwah, it had to seem as though all was lost. However, Yahuwah, who sees the end from the very beginning, already had a plan of redemption for the sons of Adam, which will take thousands of years to come to pass, and the crying out of his people.
Yeah, we're going somewhere with this.
Yahuwah's mercy and grace would strengthen and sustain his people. However, from that day forward, there would be enmity between Adam's seed and the seed of the serpent to this very day. And just who is this serpent seed, destined to fight against Yahuwah's own creation? Are they metaphorical, or are they actual, tangible, living, breathing people walking upon the earth today? Well, if the seed of Adam is real, then that means the seed of Hasatan is real, also walking upon the earth. And with that, let's take a closer look. And for this, let's go back to the time of Noah, to the time of the giants, a time when giants roamed the earth, when beings of great stature would suck the flesh of the bones of men, barbarian savages called Raphaim, Emmy, Zuzi, or simply called terrors. During the time of Noah, the time of the giants, great wickedness abounded, and Yahuwah determined to cleanse the earth of this great evil by sending a great and mighty flood upon the earth. And it was so. And everything that was on the face of the earth was destroyed. However, giants not only dwelt on the face of the earth, they also dwelt beneath it, in caves. And whether or not these subterranean giants were destroyed by the flood, nobody knows. However, we do find giants roaming the earth after the flood, in the territories close to Esau.
Okay.
Esau married into the Horites, who were neighbors with the Emmy, the giants. Esau also married into the Hittites, who were neighbors with the Anakim, the giants. And yes, Esau dwelt in caves, just like the Horites, and just like the giants. We find giants living in and around the land of Israel many years after the flood. In fact, King David and Yahusha fought against these giants and won. According to the Bible, the children of Israel were very familiar with fighting these giants, who were driven from the land by the mighty hand of Yahuwah. And the question is, where did they go?
Come on.
According to Joshua chapter 11, verse 22, they were driven to the cities of Ashdod, Gath, and Gaza, with Ashdod and Gaza being close to the Mediterranean Sea. So, did these giants make their escape across the Great Sea? America being an accurate description of the New World, and the following reference reads, moreover, the Peruvians themselves give some small testimony in their ancient records of a few that landed of old upon their coast, which were, as they say, mighty and cruel giants, committing much bloodshed, slaughtering the natives everywhere,
and having subdued the whole country, built stately edifices, of which remain yet the ruins of some foundations, very artificial and costly. They also showed near Manta in Puerto Viejo many huge bones, as they believe of giants, 3 times longer and thicker than an ordinary man. And the next reference reads, the next remark in this voyage was the discovery of an island not far from the former, where he found the footsteps of a gigantic people, upon which 9 Spaniards went a league to search the country, where they saw 5 great huts standing in a spacious valley, and in them 2 old and 3 young women, each of them being twice as tall as an ordinary man. The old ones invited the Spaniards to eat, who, when they were sat down, consulted how they might take and carry one of these giantesses to Spain, there to show her for money. And then 36 giants came into them. Never did the sun shine on a more terrible people, which so amazed the Spaniards that their hair seemed to stand an end at the fear of them. Every giant was armed with a bow and arrows and a club. They, wondering at the 9 strangers, stood talking very earnestly one to another, which gave the Spaniards time to think of making their escape. Some judged it convenient to discharge their guns upon them, and in the smoke to run away. Others thought that it would be better to take a more milder course, which they all agreed on, and taking their leave, went out of the hut. They were followed by the giants, who kept a stone's cast behind them and went faster or slower as the Spaniards slackened or bended their pace, who at last, getting to the shore, and from thence into their boats, they suddenly put off. But the giants did pursue them with eager speed, all of them leaping into the water and swimming, shot abundance of arrows after them. But frightened by the thunder of 2 great guns that were discharged from the ships, returned ashore and fled into the neighboring hills.
So notice all this happening over here in America. Wasn't no Israelites here, it was these damn red-headed giants that was here. Okay?
Giants, identified in Scripture as the offspring of the forbidden union between fallen angels and man. But maybe you don't believe they exist because you haven't seen them for yourself. Well, maybe you're looking in the wrong place.
Okay.
How about this?
Here we go.
Open your browser and go to raremaps.com. And then once you're on the web page, in the search inventory search bar, type in giants. And then once you get your results back, sort your results by price by placing the most expensive map at the top of your list by clicking on the price button twice. And this this will place a map which costs $100,000 at the top of your list. Select that map. And then once the map comes up, go to the right side of the map and zoom in, where you'll see the words Gigantu Regio, region of the giants. And zoom back out of your map and return to your list. And go down to the map which costs $29,500. Select that map and zoom in. You'll find the words Regio Gigantum, region of the giants. Then return to your list. And next, find the map which costs $24,500, created in 1652. Select that map. And zoom in to South America, where you'll find a picture of a giant. Right above the words pentagons, which is the word that Magellan gave for the giants. Return to your list. Go down to your next map, which costs $17,500. Zoom in. Where you'll find the words pentagons, the giants. Return to your list. Go down to the map which costs $9,500, created in 1610. Zoom into your map. And you'll find the words Blanco Gigantu Regio, region of the white giants. Return to your list. Go down to the map which costs $8,500, created in 1544. Where you'll find the words Regio Gigantum, region of the giants. You see, family, it's easy to find giants if you know where to look.
Okay, so like I was saying before, any comments first? So anybody got any comments?
Shalom. All the maps he were talking about in the last ones that was in South America.
All of them in South and North America.
South America.
Yeah, this whole place was awash with giants. This who was over here, not Israelites.
Right. That's I would think where they went to after the flood, where they were at after the flood, or is it before the flood?
Well, it's when the Israelites came out of Egypt. That's what they was killing. And not only was it they had these 7 angels in front of them. When you understand what's going on, yeah, they nobody could see the angels, but they the ones doing all the damage. So that's who fighting for Israel. Israel fighting too, but they got 7 angels with them. So they displaced them. That's why a bunch of them ended up over when by the time Julius Caesar came, it was in Great Britain, in that region over there. That's why Hadrian built that big wall, was to keep those giants out. But a lot of them even fled from there and went, they came over here. But that's
I think what she's saying is what a lot of these giants that was over here was during pre-flood times. So a lot of there's other people out here who are paying attention to when for instance, like Azazel went to Enoch to have Enoch plead to the Most High. At
Right.
that time that he was pleading, after they done committed the atrocities, that of course he was already telling his offsprings, which were these giants, what was coming, what was going to befall them. So
Right.
it was said that a lot of them had burrowed deep into the earth. They burrowed. That's why they're coming across all of these deep tunnels and underground systems that was going on. So instead of them going, any other, this is how they survived all of that, was that they was tunneling underneath the earth to find a place to escape this flood. If you get what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, but I'm looking at it like when
Do
he said
you
that.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. I think what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that he said he brought the flood and killed all of them. So they came back again. It's angelic beings came back after the flood. That's when these giants right here, the maps this guy's showing is after the flood. And then, like I said before, we know that
Right.
they've been had the ability to look at all the castles and different things. They got buildings that they made in these they call them megalithic cities. You think they weren't building boats?
Right,
Giants weren't
building
building
boats.
boats?
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. And a lot of those
Right.
buildings, them mega structures, got doors that are like 30 feet tall, 20 feet tall, and so
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. And then me myself, if you just sit there and think about it, hell, I can't be on the shores of the African continent and sit there and contemplate and swim across there. But they can't. Think about that.
Right, right,
They might not can't make it, but he can at least contemplate on it because of who they are.
yeah, right,
Okay.
right.
So like I was saying, they don't think they didn't build no boats. Got here. Right. What you say?
Back in that time, do you think any of those giants were captured, like Magellan captured any of the giants to take them different places?
Yeah, they was being captured. Yeah, they was being captured because of that was a big thing with the Romans. Was Julius Caesar and all of them? They would capture some of those and present them to the people, bring them back to Rome as part of their triumph when they come back. They have them parade them through the city.
Imagine all the information. Imagine the information they learned from the ones they captured, all the knowledge they got from them.
Right. So it's I mean you can't really get you get an impact from listening to this, but watch the video because it's like I said, pictures are worth 1,000 words. 1,000 words. So it's giants. That's the name of the video. Benaiah Israel, and so all of them. This the origins of the blood red hair. The giants. This is where it come from. That's where blood red hair that we see on this planet right now. That's where it came. That's where it originated from. And like I said, most times. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm kind of curious about the language that these giants spoke because of the fact of the Tower of Babel and the languages of the tongues. Everyone are now speaking different languages. So the giants that spoke, which language did they speak to for them to communicate with them? posed a question on my mind. When they captured them, how would they get them to obey what they were saying or understood what they were saying? Like you said, Michael, the things that they taught them, so that language barrier was with whom?
You got to go back to the beginning. In the beginning, it says that when Lord of Hosts and those 7 angels decided to come down to check out the Tower of Babel, he said the whole earth had one language. So what language you think that was? Hebrew. The whole earth was speaking Hebrew. And just, so how they get the Hebrew? The angels. The angels was here. The angels was here. The angels was here before we was. We made land. So we know there's 2 angels in the garden. Lord of Hosts, Michael and Lucifer. Was it Samuel was in the garden? Who they talk? They talking to Adam. So who had the language? The angels had the language. It was conveyed to man, which is Hebrew. So it's the same thing when you start talking about all these other different languages. It's coming from the angels. And they're being passed down to the humans. So the humans speaking what the giants speak. The giants speaking what their father spoke.
I missed the whole thing.
Huh?
No, I'm just saying I missed a lot of that was in the Matrix.
Yeah, so you got a bunch of giants all over. Egypt is known as the land of the giants. So those giants, Egyptians is giants. Mezarine, that's what the original name is, which is one of those races of giants. So the Egyptians speaking what the giants are speaking. And that goes on down to everything else. If you go to Genesis, right? You go to Deuteronomy chapter 2. I go there all the time. And you see in Deuteronomy it says chapter 2, it's got all these races of giants. But notice what it says. Verse 9 said, the Lord said unto me, distress not the Moabites, neither contend with them in battle, for I will not give you their land for a possession, because I have given it Ar unto Ar. That's a geographical location, but giants was there first. He says, I have given Ar unto the children of Lot for a possession. And then it said, the Eman, that's a race of giants, dwelt there in time past, are people great and many and small. So the giants was there first. So this is what these giants are speaking. Then we know Esau intermingled with the Horites that was on Mount Seir. So they speaking what these giants speaking. The language is coming from these fallen angels, which is coming down to these giants, to these people. That's where the language is coming from.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So yeah, I mean, that's just that Neanderthal thing is just that's another trick by Esau, because that's who the name Neanderthal is. Neanderthal is a Nephilim. That's who the Neanderthal is. That's the Neanderthal DNA. Like I said, that's the red-head, that's the red-head giant. Like I said, nobody deals with that. But you get drawn down. But that's you see that. Where the hell that come from? This blood red hair, and these red ass freckles all over a person. What's the origins of it? Nobody don't deal with that. But the scriptures constantly telling you. He tell you when Jacob and Esau was born. Why the hell Jacob got red hair? And I mean, Esau got red hair and Jacob don't. Same way with Cain and Abel. Why Cain so wicked? Yeah, because somebody else is daddy. You know, we not, you know, we don't, you know, you haven't been taught or programmed. You've been programmed not to, you know, not to think like that. But it's right in your face. It all go back to DNA. Yeah, the DNA is, don't lie. It's like with Mandingo, the movie Mandingo. You know, the boss man had left and went on a trip, and then the lady was ticked off at him because he took his little black woman with him on his trip. So she went to get him back by going and getting Ken Norton, Mandingo, come up in to her room. And so she liked it so much that she going to get him every night. And so she got pregnant. So everybody sitting around on edge want to know, you know, what the baby gonna look like. Well, he came out black, just like Mandingo. Well, it ain't hard to figure out who that is. Same thing with Esau. You got red hair all over. Shit, Isaac ain't his daddy, but you know, I'm throwed off. I don't know what I ain't looking at it right. It's like Cain. Cain wicked as hell. Why Cain so wicked? The serpent wicked. That's why Cain wicked. The DNA is identifying itself. Come on. Just what the Most High says. Let me read it right quick. And, you know, thinking like a Hebrew. It says in 2 Samuel chapter 7, right? He says, let me get it. Second Samuel chapter 7 says, let me start at verse 9. This is the Lord of hosts. Nathan talking to David says, and I was with thee whatsoever thou wentest, and I have cut off all thy enemies, right? So Israel got enemies out of thy sight, and I have made thee a great name, talking to David, name like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Then 10, moreover, I will appoint a place for my people. See that? He got people for my people, and I will plant them, and that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness, that ain't none of his people, these are more people. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them anymore at the foretime. So who is these children of wickedness? Go all the way back to the garden. Cain. Serpent got a seed line. It's Cain's descendants. It said, neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them anymore. So he brought us to the land of Israel, and we went against his covenant. So where did he cast us among? These same people again, children of wickedness. And what they do? They came over to the west coast of Africa and got us. We don't have to say no more. Look at all the shit they done over here to us. They didn't come from from Adam. And then so you have to go a little further and say, well, damn, JC came and died for everybody. Well, there goes the dilemma right there. That's a damn lie. Because we know we some people that's wicked as hell. That ain't come from the serpent. So how he ain't got no son that he brought to die for everybody. That's a damn lie from the pit of hell. And that's 101. That's Bible 101. But 99% of the world don't see that. They all want some more shit. But it's point blank right there. How you gonna die for these red-headed giants? That's eating people? Like the man just said, they suck the blood out of them, they eat them. He died, he came and died for the whole world, for all of mankind? No, that's another story. It's a lie from the pits of hell, like I said. Okay. Anybody got any comments or anything before we go? Yeah. So, like I said, you want to watch that. It's giants. You get more. You get more out of it because you look at the visual part of it. They all got this fire red hair, just like I just showed you. That's what Sir Francis Bacon had. That's what Josephus had, this fire red hair. Dracula got fire red hair. The little boy they got in the mural in Colorado got fire red hair. And the one they got on the wall in the Bank of America headquarters. That's the reason they got it on there. All the royals over in Great Britain got fire red hair, but we fumbling with it. Because we trying to make the damn New Testament work. Okay? And the Most High working in signs. He's telling you the signs right there. You're looking at the signs, but you ain't zeroed in on it. You're off. Okay? And like I said, this elementary. You ain't got to the meat. This is 101. Okay? That's why I can't get to 1,000 subscribers.
Facts.
They don't want to hear this. Shit,
Exactly. Yep.
Right. You think you give a damn? I don't give a damn.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, this
So,
truth
yeah.
is too much for them folk, man. It's too
Oh,
much.
yeah.
It's gonna cause them to think that's where that thing they call cognitive dissonance come in. You know. So it ain't gonna make no sense. They're gonna hear it and they know that it's the truth, but it's conflicting with what they believe, and that's the problem.
Right, exactly. And then they don't want no drama. They don't want no pressure on them or nothing. They want everything to go smooth. Shit, we look how long we've been over here. It ain't went smooth because we're dealing with demons.
Right, dealing with demons.
Shalom. I believe, back when we were reading, when the New Testament was brought on to everyone, in there it says, do not question. You shouldn't question God. So by that, saying that, everyone doesn't want to question what's going on. They don't want to question, is JC really JC? That question will not come out of their mouths because they have, like we said, trained in to believe in it. And so from generation to generation, sending this thought to prosperities, it's going to end up again, like you said, they don't want to question who is JC? Why is it going on? Why? Those questions will not come out of their mouths because, like you said, they have been indoctrinated to believe what is written and not question what is written.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the truth.
Yeah, go ahead. Right.
No, I'm just saying, like people don't even pay attention that they ain't really even following what JC taught. That's the thing. Like,
right.
Nobody, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you following this character named Paul. That's what people don't understand is that if you really break down the New Testament, first and foremost, you ain't JC ain't said nothing. If you really think about it, all these books were of people talking about him. So you ain't ever heard "Thus saith the Lord" in the New Testament. So what is the God that you saying you prescribing to when it comes to the New Testament? So that's something that, like you were saying, it's the brainwashing that takes place there. And it was designed all these thousands of years ago and perfected before it was ever released onto the people, number one. It was already perfected before they ever let average, quote unquote, civilians or people like us even open the daggone thing. You know what I'm saying? They had to perfect it how they wanted you to read it. So with us, like we say, saying things like in Hebrew, my first question was show me, like I read the New Testament and time again, I'm still waiting to find the scripture. Maybe I haven't seen it where it says, "Thus saith the Lord."
Right, That, right. But then, no, that goes over people's head though. Because I mean, that's like I said, all that stuff is elementary. Once you shed yourself, what I call 18 missing years, the same 18 missing years with JC, then our first 18 years is missing. Because we go through the beast system and be raised up and go to college. I mean, go to high school in 18 years. By the time you get out of high school, you've been brainwashed. So, yeah, that's what that is.
Right, like
So
you say,
you find out now,
school
all
lunch breaks and bells ringing in your ears.
right.
And
Oh, yeah.
by the time you're an adult, it's the same thing. Lunch breaks and alarm clocks ringing in your ears. So, you know,
Right. Exactly. Ain't that something? And that's the years when, like I said, we go back and look at Seth, when you look at Abel, look at David, Josiah. He came and got them when they was young. So they 18 years we gone. But that's when the Most High is dealing with us. He
Samuel.
said he wants you when you're young. He wants you when you're young, youth.
Shalom, the molding of the clay.
Say that again.
I said the molding of the clay. Every
Exactly.
youth is a molding of the clay. They can mold the brain, mold people like they want to when they're young.
Right. Right. And
That's what it says, right? What it say? Mold up a child and how they supposed to be, and they'll never depart from it.
Right.
Yes,
They
sir.
know they'll go back to the DNA. Those are telltale signs because, like I said, look at Samuel and David and all them. They went for the Most High. They DNA. They went for the Most High. So you come to the day. It's not hard to figure out who's who. Well, I mean, in Hollywood, look at all the so-called black men that got caught up in Hollywood and ended up being homosexuals. They made a decision. But if you got the Israelite DNA in you, you're not gonna go for that. So them telltale signs, like the boule, all that, you ain't going for that. Look what Moses did when he got up. He rejected all that. He was next in line to be the Pharaoh, but he rejected it. That's the signs. Nobody paying attention to that. Them telltale signs. You
Starts in your youth.
Right. You can't say, oops, you end up in the bed with a man. That's wicked as hell.
Right.
Come on.
Starts with your youth. And they have ways, and this has been their job, is ways around that. It's been their jobs, ways of manipulating it from early, from the youth. If they it's a beautiful gamble that they play with a lot of people, with a lot of us that are Israelites. They know what we are. So if I could cause you to go against it, if I could pay you money to go against your God, I got you. I got you. And that's what if I could give you lucre, if I could give you praise, if I could cause you to gain honor, and you go against it, and they don't care about it. To them it's nothing, but to the have-nots, which is us, the ones that are cursed, it's everything. And they know what they're doing with us. We just don't know what we're doing with ourselves, and that's the problem. So they have the keys of manipulation. You can read it all throughout Deuteronomy 15 on down. They have the keys, and they know what they're doing. We the ones on their ball courts. We the ones on their ball fields. We the ones in their entertainment system. You know what I'm saying? It ain't our entertainment. It may be our entertainment, but it's their system that we entertaining.
Right. We go back to the gifts. The Most High gifts He gave us. They exploited. Yeah. Like Motown. You know what I'm saying? Back in the
Fact.
day, they can close their eyes and pick any 5 men and have a singing group.
Yup. Yup. Or starting 5 on that ball court. And got you. And this is the beauty of it, though. I know we trying to cut off, but that's the beauty of it. When you have a brother, God rest him, like Kobe Bryant, who says he shows up at the arena or at practice 4 a.m. and they have us believing that, you know, that's a dedicated man. You know what I'm saying? But to a brother that's really breaking scripture down from morning to even, you know what I'm saying? You know,
Right.
there's no you know what I'm saying, love for that type of person who's trying to save folk, but they'll have you believe in this dude who's making umpteen $1 million, you know what I'm saying, a game to slam dunk and shit, you know, and yo, his work ethic is beautiful. You know, this is what they sell us on, you know.
Exactly. Right.
Shalom. I know we're about to end. Separating the wheat from the chaff. What does that mean for us, as far as today's society?
Well, it's like the most I said. I'll read the verses. It's Isaiah 45, 44. I read this all the time, and they just put a twist on it. But it says 44 says, okay, 44, 1 through 5. Yet hear now, Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus says the Lord that made thee and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and thou Jezreel, whom I have chosen. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty. That's where we at. Then it says, and floods upon dry ground, because we throw. And I will pour my spirit. That's the spirit right here. It's the gauge. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, DNA, and my blessings upon thine offspring. And I will bring, and they shall spring up as among grass, as willows by the watercourse. And one shall say, I am the Lord's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto the Lord and surname himself by the name of Israel. Saying it's only one way you're gonna do that. That's the DNA. So he's gonna pour his spirit out on all everything, but only Israelites gonna respond. The ones with zeal. Like I was saying before, it ain't hard to figure out who's who. You know how when the truth came to you, what it did to you. So it ain't doing it to the next man. It's something wrong. You got to keep your eye on it. So especially we in the last days. This is the harvest. Well, yeah.
So when that truth comes to you, you ain't got no choice. When truth comes, there's no choice. There's no going to the left or to the right. You a slave to it now.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna do something to you.
What it is. Yeah. Gonna do something to you. Like, so that's like what Ezekiel chapter 9, the same thing for the men that sigh and cry, put a mark on them. So that's what I wanted to bring up before. You know, that's where they got that whole mark thing from, that the mark of the beast nonsense. They got it from Ezekiel chapter 9.
Right.
They got it.
Exactly.
And they created their own perception of what a mark is. Now, only God could put a mark on you. Only the Lord of hosts, only Most High could put a mark on everybody. And nobody, and they can't come out of nowhere and put a mark of a beast on anybody. That's nonsense. The beast done already came. So this is the confusion that was created already. So you know what I'm saying? The understanding right there is spirit is poured out, you're gonna respond accordingly. And then he's paying attention to those that are sighing and crying when it comes to this understanding that's going on out here.
Right. Exactly.
So that's
like I was saying.
Shalom. So that's where the thirst comes in. Yeah,
thirsty means zeal. Zeal. That's like everything else on the planet. Rain. The Most High send the rain. It don't just come. He send the rain. It's love. He's sending the love. He's sending the zeal. You can't. You're not going. all the lies that's been told up until now, and he waking us up. You're not gonna, zeal has to be there. So he's in there. So when the zeal combined with his spirit is what was wake you up. You're not, if you ain't searching him and you don't see, you don't have what they call it, discernment.
Zeal.
Well, I'm talking about discernment to know it's something wrong. So by you knowing it's something wrong, then now you searching for the truth. You got zeal and you're looking for the truth, but it ain't gonna last long. You're gonna bring you the truth. You're gonna bring you to the truth. Already
That's the definition. So Leonard, that's what I'm saying. So the definition of zeal is forever searching the Most High.
Right. Thirsty.
So thirsty. So people are confusing the zeal thing with saying they have so much information. So people, that's what they thinking that the zeal means. No, zeal is yo, you done got hit with something and you're addicted now. You know what I'm saying? You have no choice but to continue to seek out more and more and more. That's the zeal. The zeal of the Most High. That's what it's all about. Not the zeal of I know so much. No, it's the zeal for the Most High. That's the zeal. So whatever God is giving you, whatever he's hitting you with, you have no choice but to respond and handle his business. That's the zeal.
Right. So let's look at that in the scriptures right quick one time. Put it in perspective. I'm in Isaiah, right? And it's the Lord of hosts. Like I said, as above, so below. So I'm in chapter 7, chapter 9. Well, this is a verse they try to use for JC, but I'm gonna show you what's I'm in 9. This unto us a child is born. So we see it says verse 6, unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the mighty God, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. So what you're reading is the covenant that the Lord of hosts got with David. He always gonna have a son on David's throne. And so you go to verse 7, of the increase of his government. So this is pertaining to David, of the increase of his government, peace, there shall be no end upon the throne of David. See that? Not your house, and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even and forever. Now here you go. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. Who the Lord of hosts is?
Michael.
He got zeal. So he ain't telling you nothing. He ain't telling Israel to do something he ain't doing. Right. He got zeal. He got a covenant with David, and the zeal that he got, he's watching over David's household to make sure there's always a seed on the throne of David.
Yeah, hey.
That's a promise. That's a promise with him.
So with that understanding is, a person that has zeal is always gonna know if somebody else got zeal.
Well, exactly.
Because that's just how it is. So Michael ain't saying nothing that he wouldn't know is going before you, and just how it goes. So it's the same thing with Jeremiah. So what's the scripture with Jeremiah was like, yo, I ain't gonna talk this no more. But he had no choice but to. Anybody?
Right. Anybody know that scripture?
So I think it's Jeremiah 8.
Where I go? There's a key word.
The key word was there was a fire up in him, and he couldn't stop from speaking the Most High word.
Fire's in my bones.
Huh?
Fire in my bones.
Yeah. Fire in my bones.
Right. Yeah.
He ain't had no choice.
Right.
What's that, 6? That's 8 or 7. That's a Watchman.
I don't know if it's Jeremiah, but he says that.
No, it's Jeremiah. It's Jeremiah.
I'm talking another verse. I'm talking another situation with another prophet. It might be Jeremiah, but it might not. But he was talking about how he put hot coals on his lips.
Oh no, it wasn't that. It was Jeremiah. This is when Jeremiah was fleeing. He didn't want to talk no more of God's word, and he said he couldn't help it because the fire. Is it 8? And said the Lord won't shall it. And he couldn't.
Jeremiah 29, 20 verse 9.
Is that far? Yes, ma'am. Yep, you're right. 20 and 9. It says, then I said, I will not make mention of him. So I'll go up. I go to 7. Oh Lord, thou hast deceived me. Check this out now. Oh Lord, thou hast deceived me, and I was deceived. Thou art stronger than I, and hast prevailed. I am in derision daily. Everyone mocketh me. Peep that. Everyone mocks me. For since I spake, I cried out. I cried violence and spoil, because the word of the Lord was made a reproach unto me and a derision daily. Then I said, I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name. But his word was made in mine heart as a burning fire, shut up in my bones. And I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay. He ain't had no choice. That's the zeal. He ain't had no choice. He had to speak. He had to do what the Most High told him, Lord of Hosts told him, you finna do. So that's
all the prophets.
That's all the prophets, even down to Ezekiel. Ezekiel, what he do? He took Ezekiel's wife and told Ezekiel, don't cry. Get out there and speak my word. People think being that prophet is something sweet, man. That's the scariest job on the planet.
Right. So right there, read that again, verse 7. Oh Lord, thou hast deceived me. I was deceived. Thou art stronger than I, and I have prevailed. I am in derision daily. Everyone mocketh me. For since I spake, I cried out. I cried violence and spoils, because the word of the Lord was made a reproach unto me and a derision. They're going to suffer servant right there.
Yes, sir.
You're looking for the servant servant.
Brother Ben, right.
Levites, he said he took them unto himself. The house of Levi, they no longer part of Israel. That's the suffering servant.
There you go. Right. There you go.
There you go. To the temple.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. And that's something. Okay. Yeah. So everybody good? Anybody got anything else?
I'm enjoying the class. It's great. And I hope more people get the zeal to respond and take part of this.
Oh yeah, it's gonna, like I said, the way everything's going, it's gonna be that's how the Most High does. That's how he operates. He's gonna snatch the rug off my money, and then, you know, if everybody thinking business is gonna be as usual, America gonna always be here, and this situation we ain't gonna always be here, but that ain't the case. When you understand the God that you're dealing with, you got plans and prophecies, and you know, shit ain't gonna always be like this. There's gonna come a time when the very things that's keeping you from turning to him, he's gonna take them away. Then you're gonna be in a situation where you're gonna have to make a decision or come up missing. That's how that works. Oh yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom, and I'm gonna see everybody in the morning at 10 o'clock for our morning Sabbath class. Then we come back in the evening at 6 for the close out the Sabbath. This is our evening Sabbath class.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
See everybody in the morning at 10.
Shalom.